Welcome to Court Explainer. Today we are not bringing you about the law. We are bringing you about customs and traditions of the law. We are looking at this question. What is closing of a file within the legal practice? Whenever a judge dies, you hear that there is a closing of a file. What does that mean? First and foremost, the closing of a file is a traditional Commonwealth practice. When I talk about Commonwealth, Britain colonized countries, and Britain brought the law. The law we practice in this country, it is the British Commonwealth law. The other law is called the civil law that is being practiced in the US. Under the common law practice, the highest level every lawyer aspired to be is a judge. That is why you see people from the Attorney General's office, people from the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, lawyers from the academia who teach at the university, lawyers from the private practice, and lawyers from the civil society always will apply to be judges of the High Court. It is the greatest honor to rise to be a High Court judge, to rise to be a Court of Appeal judge, to rise to be a judge at the Supreme Court, and lastly, to be the Chief Justice of the Kenyan Judiciary. Whenever a judge dies, and this closing of a file is not only preserved for judges, it is also given to senior advocates from the bar. For example, we have seen Omari. There was when Omari died, when Judith Thongori died, there was a closing of a file ceremony. Judges like Daniel Ogembo, judges like Fred Ocheng, judges like Majanja. This week, we saw the closing of the file of Mohammed Ibrahim Justice, who was a judge of the Supreme Court. What closing of the file means, people from the legal fraternity meet in a court of law. It is sort of a proceeding. There'll be presiding judges. They'll take submissions from different sectors of the legal fraternity. For example, the ODPP this time was represented by the DPP himself, Renson Ingonga. The Attorney General's office is another branch of the legal fraternity. It was represented by the Attorney General and the Solicitor General. The Judiciary was represented by judges headed by the Chief Justice of Kenya. The professional called the legal fraternity, serious lawyers appeared there. For example, the president of the Law Society of Kenya attended. The president of the Senior Counsel's Bar, Philip Murgol, Senior Counsel, appeared and gave his submissions. The lawyers appeared there. Commissioners from the Judicial Service Commission, Commissioner Mwanza and other commissioners appeared before the bench. So proceedings people give a tribute who the judge was. What was his contribution to the law? For example, when you look at the late Mohammed Ibrahim, he was a judge. He was a political detainee. Justice Ibrahim was detained with the likes of the late Raila Amolo Odinga. Justice Ibrahim, after the coming of the first new constitution, 2010, he was at the High Court. And the question, the new constitution, the old constitution, had made it that anybody who is charged with the offense of murder and offense of robbery, any capital sentence, you are not supposed to be released on bail or bond. The first judge who interpreted Article 49 1H properly is Justice Mohammed Ibrahim. He's the first judge to release a murder suspect on bail. And he's put up the test now that we use for the judiciary, they use to release suspects of murder. That was the greatest contribution of Justice Ibrahim Mohammed. Very many landmark decisions have come out of the works and the brains of Justice Ibrahim Mohammed at the High Court, while serving at the Court of Appeal, and while serving at the Supreme Court. Remember, Justice Ibrahim presided over the dispute of the presidential election between Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga and William Ruto. So this is a solid brain. So after the tributes are given, then the file is officially closed, and that means he will never again be in the corridors of justice. He will never represent anybody if he's an advocate. He'll never prosecute anybody if he's the DPP or a no DPP. He'll never lecture at the university because he has died. That is the greatest honor anybody in the legal sector dreams to have. What is the message from Court Helicopter? That the legal fraternity has a way to honor theirs when they die. What does it mean? In the army, they say generals never die, they fade away. In the legal fraternity, we say legal minds never die. They still remain in the books of law, in the case law, in the legal authorities that have contributed in making, and their judgments or their contribution to that judgment remains to be used forever. May the Lord, Allah, keep Mohammed Ibrahim in eternal peace. Equally, may the Lord keep Senior Counsel Judith Omari, Senior Counsel Evans Monari, the judges, our Lord judges, Justice Majanja, Justice Fred Ocheng, Justice Daniel Ogembo. May the Lord keep their justice. Very many justices have passed on. May God sustain them. Their records, their files were closed, but they live in the memory of the judgments that they left us and in the jurisprudence that they created that is being used by law students in universities and any legal training point. Court Helicopter always will bring you topical issues. Keep watching as we move forward. Every time you can trust Court Helicopter. Thank you.